Welcome back. Now, let's discuss part two, the core aspects of the IAD framework. The first major component of the IAD framework is the action arena, which includes an action situation and the actors in the action situation. In basic terms, the action arena can be described as an environment where people interact by trading services and goods and solve issues. The parts of the action arena are also made up of several components. The action situation is comprised of the participants, outcomes, positions, action outcome usage, information, costs and benefits linked to outcomes, and the control exercised by participants. Regarding the actors, their valuation, selection, resources, and knowledge actively shape the area of study. The IAD framework is best depicted by Figure 1. Particularly, the image illustrates the importance of the connections or linkages among the framework's components. Note the flow of the framework. At the center, the action arena rests and is influenced by the patterns of interaction, outcomes, physical and material conditions, attributes of a community, and the rules in use. Now, take note of the cyclical movement of cause and effect among the components. As can be witnessed, the evaluative criteria influences how the patterns of interactions and outcomes are viewed in a study, but it exists outside of the circular movement of effects, which allows for the evaluative criteria to be re-administered as other components evolve. Although Ostrom recognized that several factors affect action arenas, she takes time to emphasize how rules influence the framework. First, let us evaluate the 7 working rules stated by Ostrom. To start, payoff rules set forth the costs and benefits for certain outcomes and activities. Aggregation rules alter the amount of control of involved participants in taking action. Position rules set up the ability of an individual to attain specialized ranks in an action arena. Scope rules set limitations on the amount of affected outcomes. Entry-exit rules determine the number of participants, their attributes and resources, whether they can enter freely, and the conditions they must meet to leave. Information rules establish the knowledge which is given to the public and knowledge that is maintained in secrecy. Authority rules assign what actions in organizations are appropriate for specified positions. Next, we will first need to understand the 3 rule levels. The constitutional choice level of rules focus on which individuals are eligible in fashioning collective choice rules and in what ways those rules can be transformed. Operational rules have a direct impact on how daily choices are decided on by participants in a setting. Collective choice rules determine the eligibility of participants in affecting how the operational rules may be adapted. Beyond just rules, other factors can also significantly impact the action arena. Due to the multiple levels of analysis, the action arena is affected by a diverse array of conclusions drawn from the multitude of levels. These levels of analysis can include study over labor, finances, technology, and capital. Both physical and material conditions can also affect the action arena. Particularly, the subtractability and excludability of physical and material items can have a major influence on the action arena. Subtractability references services and or goods that allow for one person to subtract its usage from that of another individual. An example of this would be a kiddie pool filled with male fish. As each fish is removed, the number of fish available to the next fisherman is less. On the high end, the contractibility of a good or service means that individuals could act out of self interest and consume all of the given good without regard to other possible beneficiaries. Excludability refers to how available a good is to a group. Problems with this excludability occur with free rider situations, which are situations where a person or entity benefits from a good, service, or program without contributing to the provision of said good. An example of this relating to public goods would be police officers, firemen, and EMTs saving the life of a child. This image displays the typology utilized by Ostrom for the classification of goods and services. Goods or services with both high subtractability and excludability are designated as private goods. An example of this could be a person's private residence. Goods with a high excludability and low subtractability represent the toll category. Unsurprisingly, an example of this would be private schools. A good that is high in subtractability and low in excludability is defined as a common pool good. Examples of common pool goods include, but are not limited to, fishing areas, woods, and water basins. A good that is both low in excludability and subtractability is defined as a public good. An example of a public good would be the national defense of a state. As illustrated in the diagram, the physical world and community involved with an action arena impact the different types of situations which arise. Furthermore, the design illustrates the hierarchical impact of the types of rules, operational, collective action, and constitutional, on one another. We will next discuss the evaluation criteria for IAD interaction outcomes. These criteria include adaptability, accountability, redistributional equity, conformance to general morality, economic efficiency, and equity through fiscal equivalence. Adaptability measures how well an organization's institutional arrangements evolve to transforming environments. IAD also analyzes how accountable officials are to the citizenry and what amount of resources are allocated to poorer individuals. The IAD framework also evaluates the general morality around cheating in an organization. The economic efficiency of organizations is defined as the rate of alteration in the flow of benefits through allocation or reallocation. Finally, an assessment of the burden of financing a service. It is incredibly important to note that certain trade-offs are taken into account for the evaluative criteria.